Ta-da! And back at y'all with another video, and welcome to this edition of Stop the Capping. I'm your host, Ahmad. It's been a minute. It's been a while. Been taking care of mom. When you turn 85, that sometimes you have issues and concerns and problems which you're not prepared for in life. So, me and my older brother, we've been doing that. So, didn't have the time to be sitting around making videos when mom has issues and concerns that needs to be taken care of. And so that's why you haven't seen your boy in a minute. But I'm back. And as I stated before, we got some things to talk about. So Trump, I ain't going to say United States, I'm going to say Trump, Israel, and a few other nations have decided to join forces and go to war with Iran. And basically, I'm not even sure why we're going to war, folks. I'm going to be honest with you. I know there have been some issues and concerns with the country as a whole. And I know Israel is blaming Iran for some of the shenanigans that's been going on with their country. In other words, terrorists do what they do and then they run to Iran for safekeeping, for sanctuary. And I think Israel is really tired of them as a whole. I think Israel just want to get rid of them, the Hamas and Iran, because the rest of the Middle East are trying to do things differently with life. They're trying to make changes. You know what I'm saying? The Crown Prince is trying to make changes. So I think Israel is just basically tired of Iran and their shenanigans. Point blank and period. I think they just had enough of them, and they tired of it, and they want to see them go, folks. They just want to see them go. People were concerned about how the region is, how other Muslim countries will feel about that. But when you're trying to be a hardline Muslim in a modern society, sometimes it doesn't work, folks, because you're doing things that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, didn't want to see brought upon the people. I don't think Islam is about suffering, pain, and sometimes you have certain men who are so gun-ho and so faithful to the point where they make it bearable for others to follow their religion. And I don't think that's what God wants. I don't think that's what the intention of having a religion, of having a purpose, of having a being, is to make life hard, to make life hardship. I don't think God created us to put us in a position of hardship. Now, while we are suffering as we do now, it's because of the forefathers before us who disobeyed His order. So that's why we're suffering. God didn't create us to suffer, folks. It was just our mother and father, the parents of the human race, disobeyed His lawful orders. And that's why we, as the offsprings of those mothers and fathers before us, are suffering today in certain areas and things. But we don't have to suffer. We just follow and try to be human with each other. We try to live a decent life, a good life while we're here amongst ourselves. If we just try to live a decent and good life amongst ourselves, we wouldn't have all this chaos and confusion that's going on in the world today. If we just learn to be with each other. Not try to outdo each other, not try to overpower one another, but try to work together as one, as a race of people. Not try to say who's first, who's second, and so forth and so on. See, that's the issue. We got people around here trying to worry about who's first, and who's second, and who's control, and who's this, and who's that. We need to stop that nonsense, folks. Stop worrying about who came first, and so forth and so on. Was Jesus black, was Jesus white, and so forth and so on. Let's stop with the foolishness. Let's stop worrying about the color and the race, and so forth and so on. And let's worry about the teachings of these men. Be it Prophet Muhammad, be it Jesus, and so forth and so on, be it Moses, be it Abraham. Let's stop thinking about the color and nationality of the individual, and let's stop focusing on the meaning and the words behind what they brought to the country, to the world. Let's speak about the things that they were trying to bring forward to the human race. They weren't talking about color. They weren't worrying about black or who was here first. They was worrying about you as men and women following God's command and order. That's what their whole purpose is about. Following God's command and purpose. Not over here to fight, not over here to try to do each other, put each other in the bondage and slavery and all that foolishness. And that's now is why we in war right now. Because men can't sit down, have a decent conversation, had to try to come to an understanding that, hey, we can't live like this. We can't be fighting and bombing and blowing up each other just because we don't accept a form of religion that you form. And it's in the Quran. God said if he did not want those religions to exist in the world, they would not. So, folks, stop fighting one another to try to make a difference. Stop killing one another to try to make a difference. So we fight in Iran over some foolishness, some nonsense, some stuff that could have been avoided. We in war with Iran over some foolishness, folks. Foolishness of the highest order. Men. I ain't going to say men and women. I'm going to say men who can't sit down and come to a applicable understanding and principles of beliefs and try to coexist amongst each other with these different values and principles in religion. They're fighting over principles. Not understanding principles. I'm standing on my principle. I'm standing on my point. Israel standing on their principles and their point. Iran standing on their principles and their point. Nobody wants to budge. Nobody wants to compromise. No one is trying to appease one another to bring about peace. No, let's just go. Let's just go at it. So here we are, folks. We at it. So right now, it's just a bombs flying left, right, and center. That's all it is. It's not a troop war. It's not a ground war. Right now, it's just missiles, drones, bombs flying. So right now, it's the Air Force. It's those pilots. It's those guys operating on drones. So right now, it's a fly thing. Everybody shooting off their missiles and so forth and so on, they ballistic missiles and so forth and so on. So now it's just a ducking and shooting. They ducking and we shooting. That's what it is. Everybody's ducking and shooting, dipping and dabbing. Which it could have been avoided with a simple conversation, with a sit-down conversation. Let's have a conversation. And I know some people say, well, they was trying to talk. They was trying to talk some more, folks. I'm saying talk some more. If it ain't one chaos, it's another chaos. If it's not one chaos and shenanigans going on, it's another. And here we are. Don't matter who sits in office, every president who has came in office has been in some type of conflict. Obama was with Bin Laden. Bush was with Bin Laden and everybody else. Every sitting president has seemed to be in a conflict, has been in a conflict which has brought about a war. Now we got tariffs going on, we got a war going on, and who's left to suffer from all this nonsense and foolishness? The American people. Well, we had prices going up due to the tariffs. Now we got prices going up due to the war. You know, during good and well, we wasn't getting oil and gas from Iran anyway. So why are our prices going up now, to this day? Those countries that support us and provide us with the gas and oil that we need to have some stability in our life don't even come from Iran. But there it goes, and here we are. Once again, folks, we're in another war. How long this will last, who knows? But what are your opinions? What are your comments? What do you think about what's going on with Trump, Israel, and the other nations that have joined forces with this thing? Do you think it's a good fit? Do you think it's overdue? I'm a Muslim myself, and personally, I thought it was overdue. Now, you may say, hey, you're a Muslim. Why are you thinking that way? Because Allah didn't put us on earth to be strapping bombs to ourselves, causing conflict and chaos in the world. That's not what a Muslim does. We should not be behind conflicts and confusion and chaos. We shouldn't be the ones doing it. We shouldn't be the ones starting the wars. We shouldn't be the one agitating other countries. We should not be the ones doing it. If anybody else should not be fighting, it should be us. We should be the ones that people come to for diplomacy and understanding and so forth and so on. Not running to the United States. People should be going to the Muslim nations and say, hey, how can we solve this problem between ourselves? We're supposed to be the leader of the world. Because that's what Prophet Muhammad would want. He would want us to represent and be leaders of the world. You know, we're going to walk around here and confess that Prophet Muhammad is supposed to be God's last messenger. Then we should be leading an example within the world to that point. We should be leading an example for the world to follow. Not for the world to hate, not for the world to trying to get rid of us. And that's what's happening because we got the wrong leadership in power, ladies and gentlemen. We got the wrong leadership in these Muslim countries in control, and they're not doing things the right way. They're reading the Quran, they're interpreting the Quran, but they're interpreting it the wrong way. They interpret it with a little bit of their understanding in it instead of how it should be done. And that's causing confusion, chaos within the world. Not everybody wants to get rid of them. That is what Prophet Muhammad did not want this. This is not what he brought when he's bringing Islam to the world. This is not what he was talking about. Chaos, confusion, and so forth and so on. This is not the teaching of Prophet Muhammad. These are bad leadership of men trying to interpret what they think he said and going about it the wrong way. They're going out the world ass backwards. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they're going out the world ass backwards. That is not the pillar of Islam to be out here fighting, causing confusion within the world. But that's what they're doing. And now look at what's happening. So you get rid of bad leadership. You get rid of bad religious leaders. You put somebody in there who's a little bit more domicile, a little bit more understanding, have a little bit more compassion for the people around him, for the world within the nation that they serve in. We won't have all this chaos and confusion. But right now, it's too much chaos and confusion in the Middle East. And the religion is beautiful. It is just the men who are controlling the religion right now, or who are calling themselves religious leaders, they got this shit all fucked up, folks. Excuse my language, but they got it all fucked up. And it's all jacked up. And so this is the outcome of bad leaders. This is the outcome of piss poor leadership. This is the outcome of piss poor administration. This is what you get. You get a war. You get men who shouldn't be in leadership. Now you got other nations trying to take them out. Stupidity of the highest order. And this all could have been avoided. This all could have been avoided, ladies and gentlemen. This is not what Islam is about. Chaos, confusion, so forth and so on. Bad leadership brings about piss poor understanding within the world. And that's what we are. Piss poor understanding. And now they're going to take the blunt of various nations coming in and wiping them out. When this could have been avoided. Talking all that tough stuff, tough this, tough that. God don't like ugly. And right now they behaving ugly. And now look at the nation. They suffering. Running left, right, and center from bombs. Hitting them left, right, and center. And this all could have been avoided. People, if you know you got bad leadership, get them out of position. Take them out of position. Vote them out of position. You can't keep walking around following bad leadership, folks. It's not going to work. We're having the same problems here in our country. Bad and piss poor leadership. Well, we'll see how long this lasts. And we'll see the consequences and repercussions of this war when it's over. When somebody finally sits down at the table and said, okay, enough is enough. Let's see what happens then. Let's see what concessions are being done and given once all this confusion, chaos, and shooting left, right, and center is over with. Let's see what happens. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video for today. Thank you for joining me. Once again, this is another edition of Stop the Capping, and I'm your host, Ahmad. And ladies and gentlemen, let's stop the capping. We do not have to be in a war. Iran, you could have avoided this war a long time ago and stopped the foolishness and shenanigans. You could have stopped this. You could have stopped this war from happening, Iran. But piss poor leadership, piss poor religious leadership is where we are today. So all you gotta do is come to the table, sit down and have a conversation, stop all this foolishness, stop all this chaos within the world, within the society. This is not what God wants. Let's stop it. Because if not, you're going to be laying in the ground. Let's stop it. You're going to put a lot of people in graves. Let's stop the foolishness. Let's come to the table. Let's sit down like men and women and let's have a proper conversation and let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's come to the table. Let's have a conversation. We're supposed to be Muslim. We're supposed to be representing right and wrong. We're supposed to be setting an example for the world to follow. Ain't nobody following us. No one is following the way of Islam. No one wants to be a part of Islam with this shenanigan behavior and piss poor leadership being sought by the worldwide. Nobody wants to be a part of this foolishness, folks. Let's make it make sense. Islam is a beautiful religion, but we got bad people running things. We got bad people in high orders. We got imams, ministers, who shouldn't be in order. We got people who run in Islam, who's professing to be leaders and scholars of Islam in the position that they should not be in. Because they got this all jacked up. They're causing people lives with this foolishness and nonsense that they're engaging in. It's pure, point blank, and simple. And it's got to stop. And we got to stop lying to the world. Stop capping people. Stop telling lies and let's get to the truth. If you don't conduct yourself as a proper Muslim, Allah will take you up out of here. And as you see, they're getting taken up out of here. Left, right, and center. Ain't nothing coming from the sky. He's using other men to remove you from that position. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let's stop the capping. I'm your host, Ahmad, and I'll be back with another video. Until then, maintain your flow. Try to have a conversation with your friends and neighbors when you have a conflict. Let's put the guns down and let's have dialogue. Let's put the gun down and let's have dialogue. Let's stop trying to outdo each other. Let's stop with all this, I'm first, I'm first, I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you. Let's stop with all that foolishness. At the end of the day, we all going to end up in the same place. A ground full of dirt, 6 feet under. Point blank and believe me. If you're born, you're going to die. I don't care if you're black, white, blue, green, yellow, pink, purple. Let's stop with all this foolishness. Because at the end of the day, we all going to meet in the same place, same point, same place, and that's dirt. We all living here. We are all living this world. We leaving one way or another. We are going to live here. We are leaving here. We're not here forever. So let's stop acting like we're going to be here forever. Let's stop with all the shenanigans. Because at the end of the day, we are all up out of here. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, you're out of here. So let's start with this foolishness and shenanigans. And let's have dialogue and conversation. With that being said, you guys have a blessed day. This is Stop the Capping, and I'm your host, Ahmad. Goodbye.